Ryan Elliott for Boxing News. We're in Newcastle today with me, promoter Kalle Sauerland. Kalle, welcome back to the North. How are you?
How are you, mate? Great to be here in Newcastle. Very excited. Live and exclusive on DAZN on Saturday night. The return of the now number 2 in the world, Josh Kelly.
Let's start with Josh Kelly. Gabriel Corzo is his opponent, world ranked, of course, but I don't know what I expected today, but I didn't expect Corzo to be so lively. Any idea what he was saying up there?
No, my Latino knowledge isn't the greatest, but what we do know is he's number 9 in the world, and undefeated, 18-0, WBO Latino champion. So he's going to be tough as nails. At the same time, it's a fight, it's a risk that we have to take. We're number 2 in the world. We know that Charlo's belts will come available sometime this year. I don't want to be leapfrogged. I don't want to be outdone by another promoter and another boxer. So we have to fight guys in the top 10. So I don't even think top 15 would be enough. So we had to go for someone strong. So yeah, but we closed that chapter last year of Josh's career with that great night in Newcastle in the big arena with Troy Williamson, a great fighter as well. But once that chapter was closed, I also said this is a springboard to the world level. We lobbied hard, got him in at number 2, and there's no stepping back. You can't. This is what it is. I know us promoters, we love to talk about eliminators, final eliminators, whatever. But the winner of this fight will be put in a mandatory position. It's as simple as that. So no eyes off the ball on Saturday night in Newcastle.
Yeah, with the Charlo news, we expected it at some point that he would go up, but it seems very unlikely he'll come back down. As you mentioned, everyone's kind of jockeying for position right now. Number 2 versus number 9 in WBO. If he wins, will you be pushing for a number 1?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll be pushing for it quickly because, the belt's got to be active in this sport. And we talk a lot about the heavyweight division at the moment, but you look at that weight class, it's got an abundance of talent, and we're not taking a risk like we are on Saturday night without reward, and the reward has to be a crack at the world title. So yeah, it looks very much that way, but we've first of all got to take care of a tough Argentinian 18-0 in Mr. Corzo on Saturday night. So it's one of those things in the sport. You've got to pick yourself up and do it. And Josh is in a great place at the moment. Him and Adam have been working very hard on the mental side, but now the sporting, everyone knew the talent of Josh Kelly around the 216 squad of Team GB. But it's now like you're starting to see what they were talking about. We saw that him fighting 12 rounds off the ropes, proper old school. And like Adam said, the worst fight you can face is the guy you can't touch. And now they're working on not only you can't touch him, he's going to hurt you at the same time. Very excited.
If he does come through it and you manage to get him in that number 1 position, he'll be in line for a Mr. Tim Tszyu, who's waiting for a dance partner. He's interim champion. Fight you're interested in?
Absolutely. Cracking fighter, Tim Tszyu. Obviously got the name. Had the pleasure of working with his dad when he was together with Povetkin and that sort of team at the time. Big name in Australia. But hey, we got our following in the northeast, so that'd be a big fight to come out over for that. That would be certainly a potential Stadium of Light fight. So big fight. I've said though also this is a business, and there's some cracking names, aren't there, on the domestic scene, and feel a bit of a change in the guard. Those names have all been around for a long time. Great names, big names, and that might also be the key to getting onto that level. But right now we're just focused on Saturday.
Just a quick word on the undercard. We've got a heavyweight fight that's caught the imagination. I was speaking to both of them just before. They're really up for it. Got a British title fight as well. Which fight are you most excited for?
From at the presser. I mean, I don't even think they know each other, but they certainly didn't like each other. The face-to-face, though, I must say, was a step down from the talking. I thought, oh God, you know, they go off. I'll go off the stage. But you know, it's a great card because it's got a mix of it. It's got young fighters who obviously, you know, we can't, you know, we're trying to build them up, so we're not going to have 50-50s in their first fights. So we've got those names that you're going to get used to and seeing more and more. Benn, Marksby, Cody Smith. But then you've got to mix it up. You've got to mix it up with pick and fights. We've got the British title fight. Fantastic fight as well. You know, Case trying to become the first British-born Pakistani to lift the British title. And then you've got Liam Dillon, who's got a fantastic story himself. That's what British title fights do. They throw up those sort of those interesting fights, and that's how you put a card together for me in boxing. You've got to mix and match the lot. You know, I know fans will say, "Oh, we should have only 50-50." Impossible on an undercard if you're trying to bring through a stable of fighters as well. You know, so yeah, it's certainly one that caught my attention. And oh, by the way, you know, Chloe as well. Chloe Watson, we won the purse bid this week for her European title fight, so she's got suddenly a very interesting fight for me on Saturday night, because when young fighters get these opportunities and they still have to box the same weekend, she's going to be asked a few questions there mentally when she's had a big week. Going to announce European title fight, so she's going to have to put on a show as well. The Fighting Pride of Birkenhead.
Just a couple away from this card. Firstly, Chris Eubank Jr. We're waiting to hear whether it'll be Liam Smith. Is there a temptation to wait out Conor Benn's hearing? What's the latest?
Not really. You know, we're focused on getting, you know, the new deals for Smith done. But we've had a guy who's pulled out 3 times, yeah, or the fight's been moved 3 times. So for us, it's about getting security around that. We've lost 3 months of the year because of that. That's a fight in Chris Eubank's world. He's been training hard, so you know we're focused on getting that fight done for September the 2nd. But at the same time, there's a few I's to dot and a few T's to cross. But no, look, I mean, you know, the Conor Benn thing is ongoing, but I have probably the same information as you. You know, they had a hearing this week, and that's all I've heard so far. So that's one. You know, if he gets cleared, it gets one for the future. If he's not cleared, then you know, obviously there's not one for the future. It's not like you can negotiate around a situation like that, because you don't know the timeline of when he's going to be cleared and things like that. So.
When do you hope to close that Liam Smith fight by?
Next few days, you know, and as I said, I expect it to take place in be early September, you know. So, you know, we've got a few days, but at the same time we haven't got weeks either. So it'll be done. Hopefully, if we can all agree terms, it will be done in the next few days.
Eddie's still been quite vocal about wanting Eubank Benn. He even spoke about the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and things like that. Have you spoken to him at all about that situation?
No, of course we have some fighters together. We do different fights together since many years. Of course we've spoken about it, but you know, at the same time he's not involved, I don't think, directly in the process with UCAD that Benn's going through. So. You know, listen, it's not that we don't. Of course, we would love the Conor Benn fight. You know, that's a fight that Junior signed up for. It's a fight that, you know, everyone, whether they say it now or not, is going to watch. It's got bigger and bigger and bigger, in a little bit in a different way as well. It's a fight in its own right, and not just about the fathers anymore. It's about what's going on here, and you know. But at the same time, we can't hold out for a process that. You know, it's an unclear situation of how long it is, and you know, but I'm not saying that, you know, Eddie's wrong in saying that he wants the fight, and you know, Junior would want the fight. Of course he would. You know, he signed up for it in the first place. He's probably wants it the most because he wants to absolutely punish him for what he's gone through. But at the same time, as I said before, right now it's not on the table. It's not an option on the table. We can't talk about a fight in the UK with a fighter who hasn't got a license in the UK. So it's nice speculation. I'm sure it does a lot of clicks and ticks and retweets and favourites and likes and what else you have and shares. But right now it's business for us, and then we've got to work out what we've got to work out a deal with Smith right now.
Just a word on the heavyweight picture. Filip Hrgovic, it's been mentioned that with Usyk Fury kind of on the back burner for now, presumably, that he could fight Alexander Usyk if he beats Daniel Dubois. Any discussions about that?
No, it's not a question of if, it's he will. But he will also fight beforehand, and it's heavyweight, so he's got to get through that fight beforehand. That fight will be in August. It will be before the Usyk-Dubois fight. And, the winner of that fight, especially now that Tyson's unavailable, will fight the mandatory of the IBF, which is about 100 years overdue. But we got to win that fight in August, and it's a tough fight. It's a great fight. Get through that, and then probably just, we're looking at end of the year Usyk or Dubois.
The Usyk Dubois press conference is today. That fight's official now for Poland. What do you expect to see in that fight?
I expect Usyk to win. I think Daniel's a great talent. I think we saw in the Joyce fight it was a step too early. And then you could argue, well, he's making the same mistake again now. But let's not forget it's heavyweight boxing. So of course Dubois has got a very good punching chance. Boxing chance for me, no chance. But Usyk's a unique fighter. I've had the privilege of promoting him in the World Boxing Super Series. Some absolutely legendary fights. But he's boxing-wise, he's one of the most special fighters I've seen in the ring. But no, Daniel's got the puncher's chance. And by the way, he's got nothing really to lose. He's coming as a mandatory. He's not going to say no to that, is he? So good luck to him.
Tyson Fury's got himself a fight, Francis Ngannou. Totally split opinion on that one. What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, I think Tyson would be the first to admit. Of course, he'd rather be unifying the belts. He'd rather be fighting Usyk. I wasn't involved in the negotiations. I don't know whether that camp or that camp was the wrong ones. At the end of the day, it didn't happen. We roll on. I mean, we were very much affected by it because Hrgovic was in the mandatory position, so it cost us a lot of time as well. Very frustrating, but unfortunately, that is part of boxing. That's something that I always believe that tournaments are still a big part of the future, and you'll see some interesting news in that space as well soon. But it is about finding the one guy. For me, that's what boxing is. But at the same time, am I interested in watching, arguably the best heavyweight in the world take on this UFC icon? Well, I have my 25 quid, that's for sure. So, it's a spectacle, but it's not new to the sport. We've seen it before. I mean, obviously, Mayweather, McGregor, but we've seen it go back to Ali times. Yeah, so it's not new, but I find it intriguing. Because one thing that Ngannou can do, although I'm not I could count UFC fights that I've watched in my whole life on one hand, but I have watched the clips of Ngannou this morning on the train on the way up here. He can certainly bang. Yeah. But can he take the Gypsy King? I don't know. I think Tyson will romp it, but at the end of the day, he's got that puncher's chance. Listen, we'll all watch it, right? Let's not kid ourselves. We'll all watch it. It's a fascinating fight. And I think for the sport of boxing, actually, we talk about how bad it is and this, that, and the other, but that's us hardcore saying that. If you look at the amount of UFC fans, which are a hell of a lot of, who are going to be watching a boxing fight, ain't too bad, is it?
You mentioned about tournaments there. One thing I actually wanted to ask you about was the World Boxing Super Series. We've got a Super Series winner fighting in a couple of weeks in Ngannou. Will we see the tournament come back?
Absolutely, absolutely. The people behind it, huge companies, or huge company, and but they also, they bide their time. I think in the next months we'll see some very interesting announcements. I'll put it that way.
All right, Kalle, thank you very much for speaking to Boxing News. We'll catch you soon.